Hello, this is Julie Harston with my summary of the chapters 6, 7, and 8 of Brookfield's The Skillful Teacher and the class discussion from week 6. These chapters address lecturing and discussion as teaching methods, as well as teaching in diverse classrooms. There was a discussion prompt for each chapter with the chapter summaries in a separate post. The first question was on chapter 6, asking when my peers had used or experienced lectures and how well they worked and why. Mark Taub said he had taught with lectures but preferred workshops as both a teacher and a learner because the workshops were more hands-on. When lecturing, he tells stories or shows video demonstrations to keep the students more engaged. He gets positive reviews in both formats, but the students also prefer the workshops. Tracy Gillespie said that she finds lectures hard to focus on and that her students zone out too. She makes her lectures more interactive by using Kahoot with prizes and gets more interest that way. I think the prizes are significant here because in further discussion, she suggested that one of her classmates would have better luck using Kahoot if he used prizes. And she said that she got her prizes by going around the department asking for trinkets. And of course, the $5 Starbucks gift card was the winner among her students. Christopher Bork says he uses a crawl, walk, run approach as a teacher. He starts with lectures at the beginning of the semester, and then he feels like the students are more motivated at the beginning of the semester because it's new and different to them. He uses more activities, some guest speakers in the middle, and he sort of gauges his students' interest and participation to decide what he's going to do next. If he feels like he's losing them with a lecture, then he'll vary things up a little bit, use a different format. At the end of the semester, he uses mostly class projects. He feels like the students know him better and know what they'll be graded on by then. Okay, that's all I had for him. And then Brittany Perez said that she found lectures ineffective as a student, and she's been through many. She prefers the discussion format, which was something she experienced very little in graduate school, but once she saw that could be used, then she's decided to use that more herself, and that will be discussed a little further along when we talk about the discussion chapter. Ryan Wade liked the lecture approach as a student in his ecology class because he didn't have to buy a textbook, but he was given some handouts to follow along with the lectures, and he felt like that was a lot more effective way to do it. He also said the professors broke up lectures with conversation and some group work. Shan Dunn likes lectures broken up with other teaching styles as a learner. She liked professors who added their own personalities to the discussion, and she found that the lecture-only approach was not effective. Roderick Burns never found a lecture format beneficial. He was sometimes in huge lecture classes with no connection with the professor and having to stand in line after class to ask a question. And Roderick, I can't disagree with that. What a disaster. Laron Tripp said that he's found the technique of lecturing from Siberia to be effective with his GED classes. Siberia is the place furthest away from central authority where the students hide, so he just goes to that part of the room, usually in the back, and does his lectures there. And he said the students are usually surprised that he's done that. He gets better participation, he gets less distractions, and the students, and he gets a clearer picture of the students from the place where they otherwise would have hidden. My summary is that the consensus opinion is that straight lectures are not effective. The class seems to agree with Brookfield that it could be used effectively if it were broken up with activities or done in a creative way, such as lecturing with Siberia. The second question was, what is your opinion about class discussion as a student or teacher, and what techniques do or don't work with class discussion? Tracy Gillespie feels hesitant to chime in as a student, but is an animated and creative teacher of discussion classes. She wants to try Brookfield's periods of silence. Through class discussion, she's discovered that she might teach differently than she learns because of wanting to engage her students, especially the first and second year undergraduates. She feels like she has to teach in an animated and interesting way to keep their attention. Brittany Perez believes that discussion is valuable for teaching, but needs to be tied to a participation grade to encourage participation. She wants to try the periods of silence with the 1-minute paper in some of her classes. Ryan Wade did not like class discussions as a student because he didn't want to be exposed if his answer was wrong, even though he says it usually would have been right. But he still didn't want to be exposed. As a teacher, he thinks it should be tied to a rubric for participation, and he wants to try chalk talk and the appreciative pause. Shan Dunn likes class discussions and the idea of tying them to a participation grading rubric. As a teacher, she pulls quotes from hip hop and rap music when they're relevant to the teaching topic and lets the students discuss those. She uses this to shed new light on perspectives, especially because this genre of music is from a misunderstood culture. Roderick Barnes likes class discussion as a way to learn from other students' responses. My consensus of this, my understanding of what I've heard from my class is that most of my peers like discussion better than lectures as students, but some of them felt put on the spot as students. Many liked the idea of tying the discussion to a participation grading rubric or some other creative method like chalk talk, the appreciative pause, or quotes from hip hop and rap music. The third question was about a sort of a cost benefit analysis of team teaching as a way to address diversity in the classroom. Mark Taub dislikes team teaching as an administrator because of the loss of hours and bodies on the clinic floor. And that is what Brookfield said is common among administrators. They don't tend to like team teaching because of those same reasons. Mark prefers the content expert to teach rather than the dabbler. When he was questioned on his ideas of expert versus dabbler, he clarified that there's usually only one clear expert for each topic where he works. Christopher Bork thinks that teaching assistants teaching part of a class exposes students to a greater diversity of instructors, but he said the downside to that is that the students get confused about the expectations with multiple teachers. He thinks that a better approach to diversity would be to have diversity among the teachers in a program or a department rather than a single class. My summary of the team teaching question is that it got few responses and none were raving reviews. Though having a diverse group of teachers is valued, having them to teach their own classes seems to be preferred by this group. Y'all have a good fall break.